the 18.5 million of the 43.5 million needed to fund the support will come under the heading B11. That's the budget line for Susie. Could you just confirm that this is in addition to and totally separate from the 20 million in additional support for Susie that was announced in the budget? Is it in addition to?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It's in addition to it?
It is in addition,
okay,
yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, today we're considering the supplementary sum of 43.5 million to the 220 expenditure. However, the initial announcement on the 13th of October in parallel with budget 2021 was for 50 million. Was there savings made in that, or just the difference between the two figures?
It's estimated that it will require about 50 million. But this is the figure that's required by way of supplementary estimate to fund the 50 million. The remaining is coming from other savings within the department.
What are those savings? Do you know that from within the department?
Sorry, I have to rephrase that based on the advice here, that it's an estimate. So the figure that we're discussing and the figure that we're approving is an estimate, and the 50 is an estimate. We won't have a final outturn, obviously, until it's all washes through the system, which is being administered, as you know, through the Higher Education Authority. So I was wrong. I was incorrect to say that it's being funded by savings across other subheads. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah. So is it 43.5 million we're dealing with, or the 50 million that we're dealing with?
50. We're passing the estimate for 43.5, but it may require up to 50 million.
Okay, and if it requires that 50 million, this is just for clarity. If it requires the 50 million, are we then coming back again, or
no?
How is that going to be then?
Okay. We're expecting that there will be some savings in areas, for example, like the National Training Fund, but in the main, it's the best estimate of the department at this point in time that the funds which are needed by way of the supplementary estimate is the 43.5.
Right, okay. I'll move on to the other questions, but I think for the National Training Fund, that would be what the apprenticeships and all of that come under, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have concerns around that, I suppose, in terms of the take-up, as I know you would have yourself and Minister Harris would have, but I think it's almost a defeatist attitude if we're at this stage saying that we're going to save that much on it. But anyway, I'm going to just move on to in terms of all full-time third level students being eligible for this. So when you use the term full-time third level education, you're not including any of the students under your own brief as Minister for Skills and Further Education. So with full-time students, say on PLC courses, will they receive the support? You know, for example, say somebody in doing a certificate in childcare or SNA in a community school in Mayo or whatever, will they be included in it? I'm just trying to get a take
so the students, to answer your deputy as best as wholesome as I can, the students attending our 7 universities, the 11 institutes of technology, the Technological University of Dublin, St Angela's College in Sligo, Mary Immaculate College in Limerick, the National College of Art and Design, the Royal Irish Academy, the Dublin Institute of Advanced Studies, the Royal Irish Academy of Music, the Dublin Dental Hospital, the National College of Ireland, University of Maynooth, Carlow College, Marino Institute of Education, and the Royal College of Surgeons. Students attending those institutions will be able to avail of it. Okay, anybody availing of a SUSI grant, so if you had a PLC student who's availing of a SUSI grant, they get the benefit of the 250 by way of a top up to their SUSI grant. If you're not availing of it, if you're not in receipt of a SUSI grant, you don't receive it if you're not in any of the colleges which I've referred to there.
Yeah, and how did you decide who was getting it and who wasn't going to get it?
Basically, the rationale which the department came up with was that colleges which are funded by the state through the Higher Education Authority, where the state fund these colleges and have have an influence on the colleges by way of funding from the Exchequer. That was
Yeah.
the route.
It would just cause me concern because you find a lot of lower income families as well, take up PLC courses and other courses. It would concern me that they would be excluded from this, and I'd maybe ask you just to have a look at that again. And
It's a fair point, but equally a lot of those students receive different training allowances or different
I appreciate that some
other
of them
allowances
do.
when they are at PLC.
Yeah, I appreciate some of them do, but some of them don't as well. Maybe we should just have a look at that. I want to ask you in terms of, say, somebody from Louth that's studying in Belfast or somebody from Donegal studying in Derry, do they get the
If they get the
SUSI
SUSI.
grant? If they're getting SUSI, they do.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter where they're. Now,
Yeah.
is it the same as well for somebody abroad, say somebody in the Netherlands who's
Once they're
studying?
receiving the SUSI, they get the 250.
They get the 250 if they're abroad
Yeah,
or they're.
regardless of where they are.
Right.
But somebody who's attending a college in the north or elsewhere who is not getting the SUSI don't.
Right, okay. Again, I suppose that's an anomaly there when we're trying to encourage an all-island approach to education. Now, if you're a final year student and you're in the category of having everything paid, of being issued with the credit or whatever, how is that going to be done?
Again, that will be down to each college. So what happens if the committee approves today and once the supplementary estimate passes, the department will place the funds with the Higher Education Authority, who will then, they're working in the background in preparation for all of this with each of the colleges which I've referred to. So each college will then decide locally how they're going to approach issues like what you've raised there, a fourth year student who isn't on a SUSI and who has all his or her fees paid up. That will be a matter for each college locally, but at the end of the day, in the instance that you've referred to, that college will have to do a cash refund to a student in that circumstance.
Is there a timeline for that by which that will be done, that the cash refunds will be issued?
I expect that will happen early in the new year, in the first quarter of the new year, because the money we're running into Christmas now. SUSI will, once this is approved, SUSI will be administering their side of it, and the colleges will be receiving the instruction and the funds from the Higher Education Authority.